2021, Yamaha have been supporting the SBK roadway, and it all started with a win for Iker Garcia. Enzo Valentim from Brazil was the second champion in 2022, before Italy took their first win with Emiliano Ercolani in 2023. Spain were victorious once again in 2024, thanks to the efforts of Mark Veach. And if you were watching last year, Alessandro Di Persio from Italy took 7 victories on his way to the 2025 title. In a few moments' time, the riders for this year's championship will be making their way out onto the circuit. As you can see, live pictures then coming from this track that was built in 2023. The first race, of course, was 2 years ago in 2025. Each of these riders with their own stories to tell. 11 different nationalities. As I say, Japan have 5 riders on the grid. Italy have 4. Brazil have 3. 2 riders from the UK for the first time in a couple of seasons. Chris Clark, the first winner from last year, will be joined by Nathan Betancourt from the United States, making it 2 race wins from him. And of course, from Portugal, we have 2 riders as well. A sole rider from Austria, the Netherlands, Spain, Switzerland and the Dominican Republic will mark what is going to be an exciting season. Charlie Mendez has taken pole position, as you can see here from our graphics. The rider from the Dominican Republic, he finished in the top 10 last year with a 9th place in race 2. Lots of new names to look out for. And if we look down the grid, we can see a couple of familiar faces there with Austria's Daniel Krabacher and Inzi Schunsula. A little bit further back, we are going to see Nathan Betancourt, a podium finisher, young Nathan, in the Moto America Championship. Britain's Charlie Huntingford, and on the back row of the grid, Greg Marshall and Federico Gianmarie. Right then, now are the riders coming down to the grid. The number 6 is the pole position setter, and that is Charlie Mendez, the Dominican Republic rider. He finished last year's championship in 10th position. He has had a bit of a reputation in the past of being a little bit wild, but I tell you what, he hasn't put a foot wrong this weekend. A little adjustment there to the visor for the youngster from the Dominican Republic. Also on the front row of the grid, Eamon Boccanegra. Boccanegra, one of only 2 riders on the grid this season that took a victory last year. Eamon Boccanegra winning the final race of 2025 in Estoril. Joining them on the front row of the grid will be the lead European rider, is Emanuele Pastori from Italy. 2 6th-place finishes here last year. He took 3 podiums in his debut season to finish 7th overall in the championship. Again, if you are new to the FIM BLU CRU World Cup, as it is now known, every single rider competing on identical R3 machines. A couple of little adjustments to prepare them for racing. And this is, as we call it, the SBK roadway. All of these riders looking to move on in their careers. And there's already been quite a few, to be fair, that have moved on. If we look at the list of riders that have progressed, if we look at last year's championship, for example, both Alessandro Di Persio and Araya Gasca have both moved on to the Sport Bike World Championship. Charlie Mendez, starting from pole position, became the 20th rider to take a pole position in the series. And over the course of the last few years, 22 riders have taken a race victory. The all-time record then is 8 wins. Alessandro Di Persio taking 7 in 2025 and 1 race before that. The only 2 riders, as I said, on the grid that have won races are Eamon Boccanegra, who starts from the front row of the grid, and Chris Clark from the United States. Looks as though we could be seeing a new winner here. Lots of riders in with a shout. The outright circuit record was about half a second quicker than it was in qualifying, a 1:58.2, the pole a 1:58.8. Mendez was fastest also in the free practice session, 1:58.648. Are we going to see a new lap record? Let's remind you then of the grid as they come through one of 3 chicanes, 17 corners. It is a very technically challenging circuit. Mendez, Boccanegra and Pastore on row 1. Marks Turner and Takahira. Motala leads row number 3. Keep your eyes out for him. He had some very, very strong showings at various points, as did young Mauro Gomez, the Spanish rider. Raced last year in the ESBK Supersport 300 series. Very, very likeable young man from Spain. Races with glasses, and he's one to watch out for. He, of course, will start from 7th place, and Alessandro Binder will start from 9th. 10 laps ahead of us. On paper, if we look back at last year, the leading rider would be Chris Clark. He finished 5th. Boccanegra was 6th. Pastore was 7th. Okanuki was 8th. Gene Turner was 9th. And Mendes, Charlie, the rider that has taken the fastest 2 times in both sessions. There he is, starting from pole position, leaning the bike to the side just to get any excess carbon out of the exhaust. Crowds coming in, and if you've never witnessed the R3 Blue CRU World Cup, you are in for a treat. Final rider coming through. That looks as though that is the rider starting from the middle of the 3rd row of the grid. That was Mauro Gomez, who we just mentioned. 23 riders, there can only be one winner. The 2026 FIM Blue CRU World Cup is underway, and it's a brilliant start from the front row of the grid. And that looks like Eamon Boccanegra, who is going to head down into turn 1. Now, we all remember what happened last year in World Superbike. Let's hope that they all safely negotiate these first 2 turns back into 2nd gear, maybe 3rd gear. It looks as though they have all safely made it through the first couple of corners. Well done, boys, through turn 3. And now they start building up, and already the pack is starting to spread out quite considerably. Boccanegra is in the lead, the distinctive black helmet, through turn 4, and then down the back straight. 3 or 4 bikes there just as stern as they come down the back straight. 23 then is in the lead. Then it is the poleman with the white helmet, Charlie Mendes. Marks from Brazil is up into 3rd position. Then it is Pastore and Takahira. Little look on the inside there from Marks, just gets the front closed as now they come through turns 4, 5 and 6. Very much a one-line part of the circuit. We're about halfway round here. Krabak has had a good start, as you see from our graphics, up into 13th place, has Charlie Huntingford up into 18th place. The young British rider has also made a few positions. Even towards turn 9 and 10, and again, I've got to say, some very respectful racing on the opening couple of corners, as again now around the outside, Mendes, and again they're starting to get a little bit close together as they come through turn 11. That's where we will see a long lap if it happens. Down the back straight, and we've got a leading group of about 6 with a small advantage. And now for the 5th time there is an overtake, and it's Mendes, the poleman from the Dominican Republic, who goes back to the front. There is the 55 of Pastore. Very experienced rider. Despite his tender years, he's raced in the Italian Championship. He's had some good results there. As I said, Pastore on the podium last year at Donington Park. The first podium coming for the young Italian. 2 third-place finishes. That, of course, was last year. The championship this year, of course, goes to a whole host of new circuits. We go from here to Aragon to Donington, and for the very first time later in the season, the R3 Blue CRU will be racing in Cremona, which is where they were a couple of races ago. They now go 3 abreast. That's a nice little lunge in the back then from Takahira. I think that was the young Japanese rider. Takes a long look over his shoulder and immediately gets repassed there by Mendes. So the gloves are off, folks. We're on to lap number 2. 9 laps remaining, and that leading group of 6 then comes back together. Binder in 10th, Clark in 11th position, so he has made up a spot. Keep your eyes on Turner as well, the number 3. And the number 21 then, or Peter Okada. Yellow helmet there just in the background. Quite difficult with the sunlight to make out some of the numbers. Through turn 5 into turn 6, and as you can see, just having to back off a little bit there. Looked like that was Pastore, just having to slot in as they come through turn 8. Now Mendes with a couple of bikes advantage. Slipstream, though, here will play a huge effect. 23 then looking on the inside. That's Boccanegra. Oh, and towards the back there was that Binder or Okada. Just got stood up a little bit. The number 7 is Gomez. You may remember that I mentioned him in the build-up. He's got a lot of experience racing in the ESBK Spanish Championship. Slightly faster machines, different rules there. Everybody in this category racing on identical R3 machines. We are accompanied by a sole mechanic, and there's a half a dozen mechanics also working for Yamaha to ensure the parity and the fact that bikes are absolutely level, and you can see that is transpiring into some great racing. Looking on the inside then, the number 18, Takahira, looking for what could be a very, very good result in his debut race. You see there the Japanese flag on the back of the leathers as they come through turn 17, avoid the green, they all do. And I have to say, with 2 laps completed, the first lap as we come across the line, and it's a 1:59.6. That is the fastest lap of the race. About 0.8 of a second then slower than the lap record. There's a big lunge from Boccanegra, goes from 3rd to 2nd. Oh, and there's the first rider down, and that is one of the leading group. And was that Marquez? It was. Unfortunately, the number 9 is the first rider to fall, and the Brazilian Marquez, Leonardo Marquez, goes down, and he has the honour, unfortunately, of being the first rider to crash out in 2026. He just needs to dust himself off, come back tomorrow. Again, if you are new to the Yamaha R3 Blue Crew World Cup, my name is Michael Hill. We're making history this year. We are broadcasting the races live from the Paddock Show stage. Just behind me, there is quite a nice crowd here enjoying what is going on. I'm sure at some point they're going to start making some noise as this race continues. Boccanegra then is still in the lead of this one. Thank you, guys, getting a bit of moral support here. And this is a cracking race. Keep your eyes now on the number 3. It's the first time that he has now come into the pack, trying to go around the outside. He's going to get squeezed. That's not going to work, and it doesn't. Oh, and another big crash in the middle of the pack. And who was that? They up on their feet, white helmet, as a few of them are, and that was the number 31, was that? I think it was. And that was Yuki Okanuki. So unfortunately, the Japanese rider who went pretty well last year, a couple of podiums in Aragon, and he now becomes the second rider to fall in this race. So Kakeru Okanuki is out of the race. Right, let's just take a breath here. The leading 6 now with a little advantage. Gomez has kind of been there as a gain. Boccanegra comes back through on the inside. Here last year, nobody wanting to lead. Slipstream in this smaller class will play an advantage. You see on the left-hand side there of our timing screen, all of the moves, and we lost another couple of riders there. That looks like Schunselaar and Germano. It looks like another couple of riders have gone down, and there is the proof that another couple of riders have come together. Germano's transponder maybe not working, and unfortunately from the Netherlands, Indy Schunselaar, 15th place in both races here last year. His season starts, unfortunately, with a crash. So 3 riders on the floor, 20 riders still left in this race. We're being told that the number 27 of Indy Schunselaar has rejoined. Right then, back to the front. We are on to lap number 5 in this race. Again, this leading group of about 7 or 8 riders still together. Another nice move there from the number 6 of Mendes, and then he just sits them up in the middle of the pack. And I tell you what, whether he meant to do that, I'm not sure, but that did just cause a little bit of a backlog there as they go through turn 6 and turn 7, and that's bunched the whole pack up again. And now look who is at the back of the pack, the number 5, Chris Clark, the winner of race 1 from last year. Took it very, very steady in practice. Was down in about 12th or 13th place was the young American rider. He's had a couple of races in the World Supersport 300 series. Made the switch, did Chris. Oh, and there's Mauro on the grass. And again, well, that was pretty clear to see that that was track limits, but he manages to hang on. And again, 3 strikes, and then race direction will be looking at that. But Gomez now gets shuffled to the back of this pack. Has that just brought Takamoto and Angelo Motola into the group? I think it has. So yeah, the top 11 riders are split by a little over 1.2 seconds at the halfway point, or rather it will be in the next lap. Boccanegra leading, and again he now goes on the green, and so does Pastore. So that's a couple of riders now onto the green paint. Across the line we go again. Slipstream taking effect, and Pastore was in the lead by 73/100ths of a second as Takahira now comes back to the front. 3 abreast through turn 1. That is not going to work. Ooh, it almost did. Fair play to Mendes. Mendes getting his elbows out here. Motola now sets the fastest lap, 1:58.8. That would have been good enough for the front row of the grid from the young Italian Angelo Motola. Mottler, who had a best result last year of 5th place in race 2 in Misano, was 16 years of age, and now they're 5 abreast, almost on the curb is the number 3, and somehow in this race they haven't made contact. This is very hard, very fair, but very respectful racing. And into the lead now goes Boccanegra from Mendes, Pastore and Turner. Then it's Takahiro, and all of a sudden, from being in the gravel, Mauro Gomez is now up into P6. Clark is there, and look in the back of the picture. Here comes Mottler, and there's and there's going to be a big lunge there. And now there's another 3 riders on the floor, and one of the riders manages to stay on, and was that Binder that now gets shuffled to the back of the pack. Drama aplenty here. I've seen here a couple of riders down, one of the Japanese, and that was Takahiro. Oh, what a shame. And it was Jean Kento Turner as well. So the 2 Japanese riders on the floor. And for Turner, who finished in 2nd place in Misano, 3rd place in Estoril, he now takes 0 points. Wow. At this rate, it makes me feel like I want to get a bike and get out there. I might even score a point. 15 riders then will score a point. Thankfully, all the riders on the floor are okay. They're going to be able to fight again tomorrow. And that now means that we have 11 riders covered by 1.5 seconds. Half race distance. The 2/3 race distance, of course, will be 6 laps completed. And at that point, that would be a result. But at the moment, this race looks like it's going to run the full way. Final point at the moment in 15th place would be young Charlie Huntingford, just behind Betancourt, and they are in a little fight a little bit behind this group, but they're having a really nice little punch-up, actually. I can see it from my timing screen. 6 or 7 riders locked together. Ruggiero Berti, Betancourt, Huntingford, Pires and Guimarães, all in the group, battling for 14th position. In fact, battling for 13th place, so well done, boys. As we turn our attention back to this quite enthralling game of cat and mouse. Mottler has now caught the group. It's sitting there in the back of the picture. Number 5 of Chris Clark, keeping out of trouble. Mendes doing a really good job here, and Binder in 4th. No relation to Brad Binder. This is a Swiss rider, but the number 85 had a very good qualifying. Oh, and Schunzeler, unfortunately, has gone down for the 2nd time. So 2 crashes in the same race, and he is now out of the opening race of the Yamaha R3 Blue CRU. Again, for the fans that are coming to any of our future races, you can watch all of the races in the paddock live. All of these riders, in addition to learning on track, are of course schooled by Yamaha and various paddock personalities on the paddock show. So I know there's going to be a lot of fans here later on today, looking forward to meeting all of the 23 riders that take part in the Yamaha R3 Blue CRU World Cup. And if you are watching this for the very first time, not just the riders from the Blue CRU, but all of the riders, including Yamaha's riders in World Superbike as well. If you fancy meeting Andrea Locatelli, Remy Gardner, Stefano Manzi, Xavi Vierque, they will all be at the Super Show on a Saturday afternoon. But that is in a few hours' time. Now we've only got a few laps remaining. And are we now going to see Gomez lead a race for the first time? Yes, we are. He was very wide, manages to carry the corner speed. Does he pull it back to the inside for turn 2? That was a masterclass in overtaking at turn 1 then from Mauro Gomez. And now he's tapping the screen. That's the first time we've seen that in this race. Clark there on the number 5. Hasn't really made any attempt to move forward. Is he just playing a waiting game? Clark, who is riding for the team of Kuba Schmerz, the Panettone BGR team. And Jakub Kuba Schmerz, a demon in 250s, a former front runner in World Superbike, several podiums. As around the outside, back into the lead then goes Mendes. Charlie Mendes from the Dominican Republic. Had a bit of a chat to him earlier in the weekend and said, where did you actually train? There's not many tracks in the Dominican Republic. He grew up riding a lot of mini bikes. And I tell you what, he is now, you just get the feeling, the number 6 I'm talking about, he doesn't want to get shuffled back into the pack anymore. He almost got taken out a couple of laps ago when Turner and Takahiro went down. And I think now from the number 6, he realizes that you're in a bit of a danger zone if you get shuffled back. Right then, 4 laps remaining, including the one that we're on. Gomez, who was leading across the line, is now back into 6th position. We've seen so many times in the Yamaha Blue CRU World Cup, leading on the last lap is not the ideal position, and right now this gap is coming back down. In fact, the leading group is concertinaing back together again. 1.7 seconds then between the leading 9 riders. Keep your eyes too on the number 8. Haven't mentioned him much in this race, but he now pops into contention, and that is Takamoto. Rintaro Takamoto from Japan, making his debut in the championship. Out of the 23 riders, 11 of them raced last year. We have 12 rookies. And hard on the inside. And my apologies, Takahira is still in this race. So let me just correct that. It was Okada that went down, not Takahira. Got confused by the helmets, but the number 18 is absolutely in this race. So at the moment, we have Pastore, who has been in the top 6 at Balaton Park before, both races last year. Then it's Mendes, who raced in the series last year. So at the moment, the number 18, again, apologies to his fans and family back in Japan for getting that wrong, but Takahira on his debut is now going to lead, and he does lead. He might be listening to me. This is brilliant riding then from the young Takahira, who now retakes the lead. So Takahira leading. Boccanegra, who started on the front row of the grid. Ayman Boccanegra, who was so much fun yesterday on the paddock show. We have the top 3 riders from the front row, and he was here signing autographs. And again, it's getting tight, and through into 4th position. Was that Mottler? No, it was the number 7 of Gomez, but he goes a little bit wide. He leaves himself exposed as around the long lap loop we go. Down the back straight. There you see the slipstream there. Takahira just thought about making a move, thought better of it. A little bit out of shape there was Gomez. Got to say, this is a brilliant ride from Gomez. As I said, a front runner in the ESBK Spanish Championship. A lot of these riders do go off and ride other series as well. As Pastore just goes in a bit deep, and he pulls Takahira with him, and now all of a sudden the group is back together. Binder up to 5th, Clark up to 7th, Gomez shuffled back. 2 laps remaining then. Across the line we go. And Emanuele Pastore looking for a first win. I remind you, the only 2 riders in this race that have ever won an R3 race is Boccanegra and Clark. We could be seeing a couple of new riders on the podium. We could be seeing a new winner. Gomez, Clark, Takamoto and Mottler, if they want to be on the podium, they're going to have to make a move on this lap. It's going to be impossible, I would say, to pass half a dozen riders in the final 17 corners. It's a 2.5-mile circuit, 17 corners, and one of the most technical tracks that we come to. Takahira, though, is making a bid for this one. He's going to get overtaken, surely, and he does. Pastore goes back into the lead. Emanuele Pastore, the Italian teenager, travels with his parents. His dad was quite emotional this morning in the village, wishing him well, as of course you would with anybody that you're traveling with. But now they're starting to weave around a little bit. This is the first bit of movement that we've seen. There's going to be another little move there on the inside from Gomez. He gets the door firmly shut in his face from Boccanegra. Boccanegra knows that if he wants to be on the podium, he was denied so many times last year by just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. There's now only 1 second covering the leading 10. It's a 20-wheeler. The crowd behind me are really starting to watch this one and just try and put a bet on who is going to win. I can't call this, cannot call this. There is the 85 of Binder, his teammate Chris Clark, an expert with a Rubik's Cube, but we don't have time to talk about that. 2.5 laps remaining, and here comes Mendes. Mendes on the number 6. Oh, lovely, lovely move there. Goes from 3 to 1, manages to make the apex around the final chicane through 15 and 16 into the final corner for the penultimate time. It's been a brilliant race. The crowd here are really excited for this final lap as across the line we go. Wherever you're watching from, if you have gone up in the early hours of the morning to watch this, you will have not been disappointed, and it is going to be Takahira that leads them into the first corner. I remind you, this is his first ever race. Boccanegra gets shuffled backwards. That's what happened a couple of times last year. He gets shuffled back into 4th or 5th position. Binder from Switzerland in that 6th position. looking for what would be his best ever result. Best result for Binder was 5th. Now we see Clark for the very first time. Down the back straight we go. Gomez has never been on the podium. In towards the braking zone. Is there going to be a lunge? And again through on the inside. Goes Pastori. Pastori goes wide. Around the outside goes Bocanegra. Bocanegra getting the Brazilian elbows out there into the face of Binder and Gomez. And he now gets shuffled back. Through turn 9, in towards the chicane we go. We're running out of opportunities here to make a move. Mottler goes defensive. Do they all make it through? Pastore almost loses the front. He picks the bike up, and still they're going 2 abreast. There is Gomez. And again, Takahira taking some big sweeping lines here. Round turn 11. 6 corners remaining in the opening race of the Yamaha R3 Blue Crew World Cup. If you're enjoying this, make sure you join us for the entire season. Yamaha Racing official on all of the social channels, and they're still all on 2 wheels. A little mistake there from Gomez. He now gets shuffled back behind Chris Clark in towards the final run, then towards the line. There's only one final chicane to go. There's going to be a move coming here. They all want it. Who's it going to be? Pastori. Pastori goes through. A little bit wide. There goes Takahira. Takahira's messed it up completely. Here comes Bocanegra. 4 overtakes round the final corner onto the green. Oh, out of the seat as we head towards the line then, and it is going to be a victory for Bocanegra. Eamon Bocanegra wins from Mendes, and Binder from Switzerland takes his first ever World Cup podium. Angelo Mottler had the fastest lap of the race, and for the fans behind me here, what did you make of that, ladies and gentlemen? Absolutely superb racing. Brazil, Dominican Republic and Switzerland on the podium. I've just got to catch my breath because that was superb. Lap times on the last lap dropped into the 2 minutes, which you can expect with a race like that. And a lovely little showboating wheelie there for the Yamaha AD78 FIM Latin America rider, Eamon Bocanegra. He won the final race of 2025, and he wins the opening race of 2026. Charlie Mendes will be, on one hand, I'm sure, disappointed, but when he watches that back, he has to be happy. That is a career best result for Charlie Mendes for the DPR Yamaha team. Great job from him, and of course from all of the riders in that race. Mendes, a best result. 3rd position was his best previous result. And what about Binder? I know there are some Swiss fans here in Hungary. And Binder, Alessandro Binder for the BGR Smerts racing team. He takes a career best World Cup podium. There is Alessandro Binder. Well done, young man. And you can see there, we don't even need to have the visor open. You can see the emotion from young Binder. He was very, very close last year on a couple of occasions to the podium. Finished 4 times in the points last year. Best result of 5th at the end of the season. But he gets that job done today, and he gets his first ever result. Emanuele Pastori shows that he is going to be a contender in 5th place. Chris Clark in 4th place, Pastori, 5th place for Clark. Gomez gets his first top 6. Takahira, you got to feel a little bit sorry for the young Japanese rider. He got shuffled wide in that last chicane, made a small mistake, but he is still able to salvage 9 points for finishing in that 7th position ahead of Takamoto. Mottler finishes inside the top 10, and then it was Santana, Germano, Krabaka, Bertie, Betancourt, and Charlie Huntingford scores his first World Cup point in 15th position. Podium is confirmed, so that is great news. We are going to move ourselves to the back stage to get ready for the podium as the riders make their way in. And again, for those that are watching around the world, hopefully you have enjoyed that. Really, really enjoy commentating on the Yamaha R3. Here come the riders then. This is a unique feature of the World Superbike Championship. as the riders make their way down the Motul victory lane and into Parc Ferme, and you can already hear the crowd cheering. Mendes, front row, pole position, and finishes in second place. There are the MD squad, and you can see what it means to Ayman Boccanegra. Boccanegra taking his first win of the season, and I'm sure in a few moments' time we are going to see pictures of Alessandro Binder. There is the number 23. There is the 85 coming in. And there are a number of Swiss flags around the circuit. I know Dominique Agata was keeping an eye on this young rider and didn't disappoint, did he? Very smart, very calculated race. He's directed into the Motul victory lane. He then gives the high fives down here. It's such a great feature of the Superbike World Championship as the riders make their way through. And of course, this is all part of the training. As Binder comes up through the victory lane. What a feeling for the very first time in his career, finishing on the podium. They then close the victory lane, and we'll be able to see some of the shots down here. There is Jakob Schmerz, as I said, a former front-runner in the 250 Grand Prix World Championship, and also pole positions and podiums in World Superbike. Here is confirmation then of the results. Ayman Boccanegra taking the win from Charlie Mendes and Alessandro Binder. And then a little bit further back there, you can see the results from 10th through to 18th. And all of those riders, of course, will have learned something in that race. They've all got their own personal stories to tell. But there is the man of the moment. Big smiles. There's Chris Clark down there as well. Nice to see him coming to congratulate his teammate. I'm sure he would like to be on the other side of the fence, but he is, of course, going to get another opportunity tomorrow. There's Boccanegra then celebrating with the Brazilian flag. A number of Brazilian riders have won races in this championship before. And in a few moments' time, we will be hearing from the winner as he now is moved across in the Parc Ferme. What a moment for this young man. Let's hear from him now then. The winner is Ayman Boccanegra.
Ayman Boccanegra, victory in the first race of the R3 Blue Crew Cup this season. How was that?
Yeah, good start of the season, and the race is so crazy because in the middle of the race he pushed me out the track. In the last 5 laps I go my all, and in the last lap I do an incredible job. Say thank you for the team and also Yamaha Racing Brasil 78 and my family and all of them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you indeed, and what a nice little victory speech there as well, as we get a little slow-mo replay there, and you can see what it meant to Boccanegra. You can also see there other riders celebrating. I tell you what, you can't be disappointed, can you? Finishing inside the top 10 and being so close to the podium. What a fantastic race that was. So the riders then, as I said, will make their way through in a few moments' time to the podium. And again, I know I keep saying it, but it is a unique feature of the Superbike World Championship, not just for the Yamaha R3 Blue Crew World Cup, but for World Superbike, for World Supersport, World Sport Bike, of course, when we have them, and also when we have the FIM Women's Circuit Racing World Championship. You can be part of the action. So, as I said, if you are watching this for the very first time, don't be a stranger, get yourself along to World Superbike. We've got a number of races that are going to be taking place this season. One more race this weekend for these guys, though, so if you enjoyed that, we will, of course, be bringing you the second race tomorrow. Looks like the podium is ready then. Third place, making his way up onto the podium, is, for the very first time, Alessandro Binder. And he looks very happy indeed. In second place, after starting on that pole position, Charlie Mendes. And he carries the flag as well. And he doesn't look too disappointed, does he? Great job. And what about this? From winning the final race of 2025, the winner of the opening race in 2026. All smiles for Ayman Boccanegra. the presentations will be made by the Yamaha Motor Europe Road Racing Sporting Manager. Again, no stranger for racing for Yamaha, Mr. Nicolo Canepa. He's got a smile on his face, and he is going to begin now with the presentations for the first time in his career to Alessandro Binder. And the crowd now celebrating. There is Nicolo Canepa, former world champion, of course, in world endurance. And Nicolo Canepa will present the trophies to all three riders. Nice few words exchanged between Binder and Canepa. And we move on then with the second place trophy that is presented to Charlie Mendes. And I'm sure as the season goes on, there's going to be a lot of conversations between Nicolo and the stars of the future. And I'm sure the crowd here is going to go crazy as Nicolo Canepa presents our first race winner of the 2026 season, Eamon Boccanegra. Congratulations to all three riders. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's show your respect, please, for the national anthem of the winning rider, the national anthem of Brazil. Congratulations to the top three riders, and as you can see, a big crowd down here. The top three riders are now going to move together and get a photograph, thanks to Nicolo Canepa. And again, for the fans, come on, there's a lot of you down here. Let's hear some noise for these guys. What a fantastic start to the season. So the podium celebrations continue. Let's have a look there. Final point scorers: Santana, Salvatore Germano, Daniel Kravaca, Ruggero Berti, Nathan Betancourt, and the final point going to Charlie Huntingford. A few retirements in that race. They will all, of course, have a chance to come back and fight for tomorrow. But from me, Michael Hill, from the opening round of the Yamaha R3 Blue Crew World Cup, thanks for watching. That's the championship standings, as you can expect after the first race. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow.